So here we have our site. It's beautiful. It's totally responsive. Let me just show you some of the other things that you can do before we move on to our AMP. You'll notice that here's the section. If you want to see how to format at the different widths, just go to the dummy text and you can grab this entire thing. And all this is some text already HTML done up with all the little tags, so you'll be able to see. You'll see. Copy this. Let's go to our HTML. Look for our section. Yeah, we'll put it in the section. Notice how easy it is. Here's where the ending of the right bar, so we know it's up here. Here's the row containing section and right bar. Therefore, we can see right here. Content for class demo 8, that tells us it's 8 columns, and the ID is section. So all we have to do is take our content and paste it in, save it. Let's take a look to see how it looks now. We have now, I'm going to refresh, and here's our content. Zipping right along here. This shouldn't be taking this long. Anyway, so you're going to see it when it finally shows up. It's going to show up there. Now notice how big the letters are. I did that on purpose just so that you can see. But it is inside the nested portion. If you look in your CSS, there is a little nested. Where did it go here? 10 pixels. So that nested will give you a 10 pixel margin, but it'll look just like padding. Each one of these divs that you created has a nested div, and that's why when you go here you can see that the nested div is in the red, and because it has a 10 pixel margin, you can see it gives you that padding in between the divs. Now you can go and change that if you want, but 10 seems to be pretty good. Okay, so now we see that our content is inside the section div, inside the nested div. But look, when you start changing the screen size, the text in the section grows and shrinks. That's because you have a different font size per medium. So if that, let's suppose that this is far too big, although I don't think it is for a wide screen like 1280 or whatever this is. Let's see what size screen size screen this is. We hit refresh, and we can go down to the bottom of the page and see that this screen width is 1351. So this is what happens if the screen is over 1280 pixels. So what we can do is we can go to our CSS and go down to where that media screen is. Here it is. Begin responsive greater than 1280. So that means that if we want to format this particular page because it's over 13, actually because it's over 1280, we can go here and change it. For example, at 1280, we can, right now the font size is 22 points. That's pretty big. Let's change it to 18. And here's our H1. It's 38. Let's just change that to 34. And our H3s will be, let's just make it 28. I'm just making these up just so that you can see. All right. So, and we can see that we just changed the P's, the LIs, and the block quotes to 18 point for every single screen size that's over 1280 pixels. So let me save that, and I'm going to refresh, and you'll see that the type shrunk down. So I can go through every single media screen and format it. For instance, let's say I want at 1280, I want the H1 to be red. So all I have to do is at 1280 or above, I'm going to go to the H1 and do color red. Okay, and so at 1280, let me refresh, 1280 or above, the H1 is going to be red. If I wanted to change it after that, I could go back and instead of red, I'm going to go down to the screen size between 1024 and 1280. I'm going to put it here and I'm going to make it green. So when I do that, I'm going to refresh. At 1280 it's red. When it gets to below 1280 it turns green. So I can go through and I can format the CSS for every width. Okay, so if well, you get the idea. And so there it is. Now, if I wanted to, for example, I don't know, let's say we want to go and put a picture in. Well, we want a picture to be responsive. So let me go get a picture. I'm just going to go to Moose Loose. And I'm going to grab this picture just because it'll be simple. There's a little tiny moose down here. You can't see it. But if you right click on that moose and copy image location, I should have had a picture ready for you. If I wanted to put a picture inside this right here, let's say we're going to put it on paragraph 2, I can put img rc equals, and then I'm going to paste the link to my graphic. And if I do that, watch what happens. I'm going to save. And now I'm going to have a picture inside my section. Move it over so you can see. There's the moose. Now you'll notice that it is not wrapping. Okay, but if you look in the CSS, you'll see that there is a class created for you called Align Right. It will float the picture to the right with a margin 5, or we will do an Align Left. It'll float the picture to the left and give it a 5. So I'm just going to grab that, copy that. This is the class. I'm going to go to my beautiful reference here, and I'm going to put class equals quotation, paste the class. There. So now this moose is going to be aligned left with a 5 pixel margin. So let me go ahead and do that. And you'll see it will now text wrap because it has that class. Yeah, I don't know why this computer is so slow. Oh, the suspense. There it is. So you can see it is now aligned to the left because we put the class align left. But look what the problem is. As it shrinks, the moose doesn't shrink along with it. That's terrible. It's going to always stay at its width unless another class on that makes it responsive as well. And if you go to your CSS, you'll notice that there are all of these sizes here. And so if I wanted to make my picture, let's say 30%, notice that it will take the width of the graphic and make it 30% of the div that it's in. So I'm going to take this class here, 30. I'm going to go to my beautiful thing here, and inside the class quotations, I'm going to put 30. So it's going to align left with a 5 pixel margin, and now it's going to be 30% of the screen. So let's just refresh that and take a look-see. Hopefully it won't take long to refresh. It's probably the video software that's slowing down the site. And so by putting those classes, if you wanted to go 50% of the div, you'd put class 50. If you want it to be 10%, you put class 10, and it will resize that picture according to the class. So it's all done with CSS, and there it is. So now we see that this is the moose is 30% of the div 10. So as it grows and it shrinks, so does that graphic. It always is going to stay 1/3 of the screen. So there it is. So you can see that your images can be responsive as well. Now there's another thing that's kind of troubling. Here we have, this looks pretty good, where you have an 8-column width and a 4-column for the right bar. However, when you get down to 480, you know, all of a sudden, maybe 4 and 8, 4, that's a phone, 8 and 4, maybe if we only had 6 columns here now, and 6 columns here, that way this content will be over here, and this will get a little bit thinner. Now there's a tool that does that. Looky here. Oh, and another thing. When it gets down to 480, our pictures, our notes are getting kind of narrow. And if these are little pictures, they might be too small. And so what we can do is we can fix that up. Remember, those just remember. Looky, I can go to the column changer, and I can say section. And section, the current is what? 8 columns. But we want them to be 6 columns. And then our right bar is currently 4, but we want it to be 6. And our notes, note 01, let me see, is it notes or notes? Let's see. Notes. Okay, see, I would have screwed up there. Notes 01 is currently 3. We'll just do the notes here. 2, 3, 4. All of these are currently 3 because we want them to go 3 columns. But when it gets down to 480, we want them to go 6 across, which means that they will be halfway across. It's 12 columns. So let's grab this. Take it to the media screen of 480. Looky here, where is it? Between 1024, between 768, 959. Here it is. When things are between 480 and 767, we want to change that column configuration. So between 480 and 767, section is now going to be half. Right bar is going to be half, and each one of these are going to be half. So let me say, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go refresh again. Oh, whoa, what happened there? All right, so here we have the notes are across 3 each, and section is across 8, and the right bar is 4. What happens when we get down to 480? Look what happens. Because we did that, our section is now 6 columns, and our right bar is 6 columns. So it goes half. And when it goes above, it goes back to the 4 columns and 8. So we can determine how many columns per size that's going to be. And look at what happened down to our notes. Our notes also went across 6, and instead of being side by side like it is here, we can designate it and redo it so that they will be 6 and 6, 6 and 6. And we can do that for all of those. We can go to that column changer and redo the width of those columns per media screen.